What do you think?
Well, General Milley said it could take years. It doesn't have to take years. And thank God, by the way, during the entire Trump administration, we were giving the Javelin missiles and training the Ukrainians on how to use them. And that's what's given them the fighting chance that they've had to keep this conflict alive. I think, I'll be honest, most of us on Capitol Hill never thought Ukraine would still be standing on its feet like they are 5-6 weeks later after the invasion. But we've got to continue to provide them with the lethal aid that they need to fight back against Russia. Russia, in this case, has exposed tremendous vulnerabilities in their, not just in their capabilities, but all around their force structure. That's the good news. The bad news is that we're still not doing enough to get Russia out of Ukraine, and that was what most of our questions on the House Armed Services Committee yesterday were about: is how do we project more American strength to get Russia out of Ukraine, since we failed to deter them in the first place.
It's interesting, as Bill, you were doing that board hit, Congressman, I was just thinking about, Putin says that he wanted those Russian speakers to be back as a part of Russia, but it seems like he cares so much about them, he's willing to massacre them in the streets. And what are you hearing about the other atrocities that the Ukrainian soldiers are finding as they go into some of these cities? The Red Cross has just pulled out of going to Mariupol. They said that it's impossible to get there.
Well, President Zelensky said yesterday, called the rest of the world to recognize that war crimes are occurring. And I agree that that war crimes have occurred in this case. But we have to remember that that comes later. Right now, our mission, our goal has to be to push Russia out of Ukraine. We're not going to do that, though, if we pass President Biden's budgets that actually cut the American military. And that's the opposite of peace through strength, of the type of posture that America needs to be projecting, not just toward Russia, but to China, the rest of the world. We have a president, a commander-in-chief in the White House, who's actually submitting budgets to Congress that cut military spending. We're not going to deter anybody if we do that.
Well, on that point, with China and Russia out there, two-front war has always been the strategy on behalf of those who were hawkish in the Pentagon. They wanted to make sure that the United States had the capability to do this at any time. On that point, back to Milley from yesterday.
We are now facing two global powers, China and Russia, each with significant military capabilities. We are entering a world that is becoming more unstable, and the potential for significant international conflict between great powers is increasing, not decreasing.
Congressman, unfortunately, he just made your point, did he not?
Well, he did. I'm glad that General Milley is making that point. This is about priorities, and a number of us on the House Armed Services Committee have been begging the Pentagon to make this the premier priority of our military for a long time, rather than some of the woke causes, some of the other political causes that the Pentagon has chosen to focus on since this administration took office. They should have been focused on this all along. I think that we could have deterred Russia to begin with. We didn't. Now we have to push them out of Ukraine, and we have to keep our sights on Taiwan. At the same time, you have this administration negotiating with terrorists in Iran with this disastrous Iran nuclear deal. So all around, we have an administration that projects weakness on a daily basis rather than strength, and the whole world is turned upside down because of it.
Thank you, Congressman. We appreciate your time and your attention to these matters, and stay in touch, please.
Thank you.
And in just